Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Game Develop Repeat. I'm your host, Chris, and today we are talking about one of my favorite things fishing minigames. Let's get to the show. This week we're going to go through a little hypothetical. You have finished your game. I know normally I pitch something to you and say, hey, check this game out. It's amazing. And then we talk about how amazing it is. Instead, I'm pitching something to you. You've made a game. You were a team member on some game. You're making this enormous game, right? You're making this big, giant adventure. It releases. It's huge. It's massive. You've got so much stuff to do. There's this epic story. You're so excited to see everything that players adventure through, and like you've made like an epic MMO. You're part of a giant team that made World of Warcraft, for instance, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to see players' reactions to this game. And then somehow you end up, so you release this game. Let's just say it's World of Warcraft. You release this game, and you get to watch a player playing it. Like you're like, oh, we're just gonna watch one of these players. Like just like we can see through their camera, or whatever. Not like the human player. You just see their avatar. You're just watching them for like hours and hours. And of all the stuff that you've made in this entire game, this player is standing at a pond in a level 10 zone. He just got the fishing gear. And he has been fishing at this pond for 2 hours. And he's still going. And then he logs out. He goes back down, he logs out, whatever. He logs back in the next day. And he goes back to that same pond. Maybe he does like one side quest and then goes back to the pond and he just starts fishing again. That is, I think, how I play World of Warcraft. And I mean this. So I don't play anymore. This was how I played when I was like a kid. All right. So that's a part of it. The fishing minigame in World of Warcraft is the entire point of World of Warcraft to me. And it's not even getting far in the game. It's not getting all the fish. It's not leveling. Like, it is a little bit leveling up the fishing skill. But I just have such an urge to play the fishing game from vanilla World of Warcraft sometimes. And it's so important to me within this context. And I know that this is bizarre, and I just want to express this. I want somebody out there to be like, oh my god, yes, I have exactly the same problem. I understand, and let me tell you, here's another great game for this. Because I don't play World of Warcraft for a lot of reasons. So I would love to have that same experience in a different game. And I've tried other MMOs, but I hope somebody else out there is like, I get it. Yeah, I too. I think there are at least dozens of us. I think there are so many gamers that are like, yeah, I don't know why, and like maybe I should see someone about this, but like I am playing this game that has, you can do anything in the world, and all I want to do is watch this bobber, wait for it to wiggle, and then click the button, and then I get a fish, and then I don't even do anything with the fish. Like maybe I sell it for like 4 coppers. Like I'm not making a profit at all. I just want to fish. I just want to fish digitally. Like, why not go fish in real life? I'll tell you why. Last time I went fishing in real life, I felt cruel. It felt mean. I wasn't willing to do it again. And I don't actually have a problem with fishing. I don't think it's that cruel necessarily. I don't know. I don't take a stance there. But the last time I did it, I was uncomfortable with the outcome of it. I was concerned for the fish. But in World of Warcraft, whatever. I don't understand. I don't get it. It's so simple. Like it's so simple. Is it just a weird little like is it like a little gambling dopamine thing? I don't is it like a Skinner box? I don't think so because when I do the fishing thing, I'm not even trying to get a super valuable fish. I'm just like what fish am I going to get? What's it going to be? You know? And it's something about the overly simplistic version of it with World of Warcraft. Maybe it's I would love to understand how that works because a lot of other fishing mini games, in case you haven't caught on, this episode is this episode is basically about um, fishing mini games with the framing of World of Warcraft being the main one we're talking about. I have a fishing minigame addiction. This is a selfish episode, but I hope that you enjoy it anyway. Um, there are other games that have fishing mini games that don't have the same impact on me. Now, Stardew Valley's fishing is one of the greatest. I love it. It's beautiful, and I recognize that there are people that really don't like. They think it's the worst part of that game. I have heard that a decent amount where people are like, I really don't like the fishing. It's too difficult. I love it. I think it's really good. In contrast, I played a fishing game made for children called like Luna's Fishing Garden, and I was like, this is way too hard. I was like, this game is so difficult. But it was clearly made for like 6-year-olds. And it was so hard. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't think I've ever really registered like how funny that is. That I've been playing games my entire life, and I love fishing mini games, and then I specifically bought this fishing mini game and went like, or like this fishing game, and was like, it's made for kids, like, but maybe it'll scratch the fishing itch, and then I played it, and I was like, oh my god, this is really hard. Okay, anyway. The mechanics for that game are very similar to like Stardew Valley's fishing. And for anybody who hasn't played Stardew Valley, there is a bar that represents your what does it represent actually? There's a little empty bar with a fish in it, and the fish moves up and down, and then you have a bar within the bar that you have to keep hovering over the fish icon. And if the fish goes outside of it, then you lose progress, and if the fish remains inside of the little green bar, then you gain progress until you catch the fish. So if you don't want the line to break, you don't want to lose all your progress, and then you lose the fish. It's great. It's a really good mini game. But let me get to the point with the World of Warcraft part of this. I think, and the reason I illustrated this in such a weirdly specific way, I think that the appeal of that fishing game to me is the fact, and maybe this isn't the case, but I think the appeal is the fact that I'm ignoring everything else in the game. There's some dude who's like, please, our village is being raided every week by these horrible bandits, and we can't survive another week, and it's really just ravaging our crops and whatever. And you're like, when you're playing an MMO, you see all these other guys running around, you read that story, and you're like, for me, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go fish now, I'm sure you're fine. Like, it's just, there's something about that where I'm like, I get to just be like, okay, but I kind of get to step out of the like charade of the game a little bit and be like, yeah, but I can just go fishing and it's fine. And there's also a certain element of like role playing this hero who just doesn't care, like you're like all these games make you out to be like the greatest hero who has ever lived and is destined to save the universe. Like there's like an implication of that. I feel like even in like, somehow every game has this implication that like you are the end all be all protagonist who will save everything. Not every game. It's just a large percentage. And I love being able to be like, yes, the fate of the world is on my shoulders, I'm going to try really hard to catch a red snapper because that's what the world needs. They don't know that that's what's best for them, but if I catch a red snapper right now, it's going to help me save the world. And they just there's something beautiful about going like, yeah, I know the world's on my shoulders, but I got to relax, man. Let me go shoot some fishing line. Let me go catch a couple fish. Let me see what I can get. It's beautiful. I would go in on talking about other mini games too. But I honestly recorded this previously and it was just a full-on minigame episode, and it just turned into me describing every minigame in every JRPG ever, and that's not exciting. Nobody wants that. But I will talk a little bit about Yakuza 0. It also has a fishing minigame. It is a little over dramatic, as almost everything in that series is, which I have a huge appreciation for. It has that same sensation of like, I'm like running from everyone, and everything is like, there's all this stuff going on, and there's all this criminal activity, and like, it's extremely intense, blah blah blah. Like, I'm gonna catch some fish and give it to this sushi chef because that's what we're doing today, and then he'll like me, and I'll be like, good job making this great food, bud. And he'll be like, thanks. And you're just doing small things, you're helping the community, and you're getting some delicious food out of it. It's so good, you know? I'm such a fan of the fishing mini games. But I don't like, and I already said this again, this episode is just I just want to talk about this, and I recognize that it's a little bit outside of my like normal vibe, but I will tie it into what we can learn from it and all this kind of stuff. When I look at a game that is purely a fishing game, I don't love it. I mean, sometimes it'll do it for me a little bit, but like usually a game that's purely about fishing, I'm like, it feels more manufactured. I think the appeal of the fishing minigame is that you're kind of not supposed to do it. You know, there's like this little part of you that's like, oh, do I have time to do this? I mean, the world is kind of on fire. But because of that, there's this super rare fish that only shows up when the water temperature is really high. Am I gonna miss this opportunity? Like, I know everything's on fire, but like, I can put it out later. The fish are out, man. Normally I've got like a no chance of getting the fish, but right now I've got like 2% per. It'll only take me like 2 hours real time. So I might as well go fishing. And you know what? If I don't catch that fish, then I had a good time. It's But if the game is just about fishing, then you're just going, all right, well, I'm going to play this game about fishing and I'm going to catch fish because I'm a fisherman and that's the purpose of the game. No, it's so weird to me how that works. But a game about fishing, that isn't it. There's one game about fishing that I got really, really interested in, and I want so badly to know if they pulled this off. All right, I'm going to shout out this game. The game is called Moonglow Bay, and I bought it like as soon as it released, which I basically never do. Actually, no, I waited for reviews, and reviews were bad. I did wait for reviews. Reviews were not good. They were mixed. Oops, I hope that wasn't loud. I'm sorry if it was. This is a good take, so even if you heard that, we're going to keep going. Even though the reviews were mixed and we're citing like technical issues and stuff, I was like, I'm going to check this out because it seems like it's perfectly in my wheelhouse. And I got it. And I was like, I was really excited to find out whether or not they pulled it off, because it's like a fishing game meets like kind of like a Stardew, like rebuilding the town kind of vibe. Not, I mean, that's oversimplifying, but it's worth looking into. And I was really excited about this. So I got it, and it was still really buggy. And um, I think they fixed a good amount of it. I'm going to go back into it soon. Maybe I'll make another episode. If it's great, I will make another episode about it, because uh, it's an exciting concept for me. I think it's really cool. But I want to see if they pulled it off, because I haven't seen a game yet that's pulled off like a good fishing game that appeals to me. There's the fishing game that appeals to the person who likes actual fishing, like the fishing simulator. I don't like that. I don't like the realistic thing, you know? I like the weird, it's World of Warcraft. I'm staring at the bobber. I click the bobber. I get the fish, and the fish is some weird thing that I haven't heard of before. And I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm recording this late at night. And then I'm like, oh, cool. What a cool fish. That's the good stuff. All right. I've talked about this quite enough, I think. So now we're going to go into the real meat of this episode, which is how we can apply the lessons from these fishing mini games into our own development. If you're anything like me, you are currently wondering, how is Chris going to make a kind of a game development lesson out of this? How is he going to say, hey, this is what I've learned from my crippling addiction to fishing mini games? It keeps I'm so dramatic about it. I genuinely, I have had, I gotta get this out. I have had weeks where I am just like going like, man, I just wish I had a game that scratched the itch that World of Warcraft, vanilla World of Warcraft fishing scratches. I'm like, I just need that. Like I'm sitting there, I'm like, I could be playing friggin' Warframe. Which has fishing, but it's not the same. It's spearfishing. I could be playing so many games that I love, that I absolutely love, and I'll rant about it to my brother for like an hour. I'll be like, what game? Where is it? Where is this game? I need this game. Um Look, anyway, this is one of the reasons why I was like, I'm gonna start learning how to make games, because I was like, I need a better fishing game, and nobody is gonna make this freaking game. it just it has to happen, and I need these skills so that one day maybe I can figure out what the game I'm trying to make is, and then make it. Okay, what's the lesson? I'm sorry, I just went on quite the tangent. What is the lesson actually? I think it's a lot to do with when games let you pause or invite you to pause. I think a fishing minigame that's not connected to the main story is an invitation, a tempting little invite to pause and do something irrelevant. It's like it's just a hobby. It's like a hobby in real life, except it's a hobby for your character in the game. There's a weird line to draw here, but um in the same way that a friend might be like, hey, you want to go on a hike, the game goes, hey, you want to go fishing. um Not in real life, but in the game, because they this is so abstract, but I genuinely think there's this thing that happens when you're playing a game long enough, where you go like, you get into this weird stress loop, right? Where you're like, I gotta grind, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I have so much to accomplish, I have so much to do. Games can become work, and some games lean hard into that, right? Like my favorite example is the Cook Serve Delicious games. Oh my god, masterpieces. We should talk about them someday. um so good. I'm such a fan. Uh, they're stress simulators. But anyway, I think that games will create this stressful environment because you can't really have fun without a little bit like something on the line there. And then they're like, how about instead of worrying about what you've got on the line, you worry about getting some fish on the line, eh? And then you get a little fist bump and you go fishing. Um, it's an invitation to go on a little vacation, and it's beautiful. And in your own games, it doesn't have to be that. I realize I'm talking about fishing, fishing, fishing. In your own game, it doesn't have to be that. Breath of the Wild is one of the most beautiful examples of this. And this is not the indie move, I think. You're not gonna like one man make Breath of the Wild level scenery. But I mean, maybe you just have a really artistic angle on it, though. I don't mean to like, genuinely, you can make something that has a similar emotional impact with much lower fidelity effects, I believe. I think it's all about taste and creativity. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent again. So I'm recording this episode a little later in the day. It's like 9:30, 9:40 p.m. But Breath of the Wild invites you to just check out the landscape. It's like, wait, stop, breathe. You don't have to do anything right now. Look at this. Look at the beauty around you, right? The single greatest game for that I've ever played. The entire game is built around admiring beauty. Like there is no, oh my God, Eastshade. If you have not played Eastshade and you are at all interested in this particular concept, this concept of like pausing and admiring everything. Oh my God, dude, I love Eastshade. It is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And the reason it's so beautiful is because it's a game about painting, and it's a game about pausing and looking at things and admiring things and enjoying the stuff around you. And I think in a weird way, that is what mini games do. I think some games have crafted the entire game around like, look, just love this, just admire this, just soak it in. And I think mini games are a way to give that to other games. And fishing in particular is the one that gets me. I don't know why. I think it probably gets a lot of other people, and I think a lot of it is this element of it where it is like inherently an invitation to relax. Whereas like, a racing mini game or something is not relaxing. It's like stressful. Fishing is like you don't do anything, you wait and then you click. That is my issue actually. With some of the more complicated versions of it. I think for a lot of people that's why they don't like certain versions of fishing games, but like I don't Final Fantasy XIV has a fishing minigame that has added too much stuff for me. The toolbar, like I go to my fishing class and my toolbar has like, it has like 10 to 20 buttons. I'm like, why? I just need one button. I just need cast, and then I just need to click on the little bobber in the water. To me, that's almost a perfect fishing game. Like, do you understand the purpose of your mini game? Is it, and like the emotional purpose, what does it do for the player? It's so, so important. Why? Not like, vague existential why. What purpose does it serve? What is it about this that is going to make some players, not all your players, whatever, what is it about it that's going to make some players really happy? And maybe the fishing game in 14 is the perfect fishing game for other people. It's not for me. And that's, the reason it's not for me is because the purpose that those mini games serve for me is a moment of respite. And I think that that's valuable in any game, is those moments where you stop and you take a breath. I said that's too much of a generalization. No, wait, no, even in Cook Serve Delicious, there's a tempo thing. There's a moment where you can kind of breathe, where everything calms down a little bit. There's this pacing. It's a musical. It's a drum solo. It's it's so rhythmic. It's there's a moment where like the pace is still going, the heartbeat of the game is still driving, but um you are not sprinting. Your heart is still running, is recovering from the sprint, but you are looking around you and like feeling the cool breeze, so to speak. I realize I'm getting a little intense about this. Okay, I I would say in order to understand this vibe, I need to watch for it in games where I don't expect it. I need to look at it in like, ooh, I'm sure it's all over the place in horror games, and I just don't think about it because I don't play them enough. Like Resident Evil with the safe rooms, like old school Resident Evil, with the rooms where you like record. They still do that to this day, right? Maybe the most recent one didn't, but I think whatever. It's some of the remakes and stuff, right? They do it. I don't think Village has like the save room with the typewriter thing, does it? I'm not sure. I guess I should probably play it before I talk about it, huh? I'm not deep on the horror game thing. But I should keep an eye out for it in weird places. Like what actually is the pacing in that game I was talking about? In that game Eastshade? Are there frantic moments? I think there are. But I think the gameplay is always bringing you back really strongly to this like just soak it in vibe, this cozy vibe, this like you don't have to worry about the frantic moments kind of a feeling. And I love that, dude. I like how I know this is a weird tangent, but how beautiful is it that you can take a game and you can go from like just hyper intense, fast paced everything to like, all right, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna chill for a second and appreciate everything around me. Right? Like a game can invite you to just breathe. If you've played Celeste, I'm gonna reference this game so many times. If you've played Celeste, that is such a good game for this concept of pacing and taking a second to step away. There are moments where you just like stop and you talk to somebody. There are moments where you stop and have this like feather related breathing mini game thing, and it is so powerful and it's so beautiful that this game gives you this chance to like notice and connect with the impact that's going on in this. Because if you think about it, if a game can have that kind of a heavy impact just through its like mechanics and like kind of playing with you like that, like how much can we just put a little fishing mini game into our own stressful moments, right? How much can we step away from a moment of panic when we're working on our own stuff and then go, hey, why don't I just go fishing for a minute? You know what? This is gonna tie into my development, my repeatable tip. So let's just go to that. So the repeatable tip this week is a bit. It's a bit of a soft recommendation. It's not like a specific thing, and I have a feeling you already know what it is. And it's make room for your own fishing mini game in life. Like I think, and I realize it sounds so like pseudo motivational self helpy thing. I don't like that stuff, and I'm trying to put this in a way that's not that because I think it's an important concept that people give a lot of lip service to. I mean, literally, you know, just take a second to go, wait, hold on, this I'm freaking out about this, or even you're not freaking out about it. You're just caught up in the cycle of like grind, repeat. Learn this skill, try this skill, learn this skill, iterate it on my game, code, rewrite it, code, rewrite it. You're getting stuck in some cycle to get to the end goal to whatever. there's a little thing you can feel where you go, oh wait, but whatever, you know, where where you're just like, yeah, but like the world may be burning down, everything might be on fire, but now is actually a very good time to go fishing. Like when you have that, like the legendary fish appear in like the lake of lava, you know. um I think the point I'm really trying to make here is that uh the we can get really caught up and then stop enjoying the thing that we started because we enjoyed it. Like you can get really, really caught up in the process of making a game or learning how to make games, or this has happened a lot with music and whatnot. And I think it's just so essential to take a second to go fishing, metaphorically, whatever that means for you. And I mean, you know, literally going and doing something can be a really good invitation to yourself to take a breather and step away from the core gameplay loop of life. Oh man. All right. That is all that I've got for this week. Thank you for tuning in. And I will see you all next time. Have a good week. Have fun, create some stuff, and go fishing. See ya.